Right, so this is the Goodmans Module 90. It's a 1974 stereo amplifier tuner, stroke tuner. Now, I've done a video on my channel earlier regarding the record player, the Philips 212 electronic. So this is the corresponding amplifier. The speakers are high fidelity HiFi speakers, rated at 30 watts each, 30 watts per channel. This amplifier is capable of a total of 90 watts, which is 45 watts per channel. I think this may even do 4 speakers, quad system as well. So it's quite well advanced for its year. This is a year older than me. This is 1974, and I remember this. We've had this in the family since brand new, and so I've got a lot of memories with it. So the object now is, the whole thing is going to be getting sent off for restoration. It's not been used for a while. There's electronic specialists out there that specialise in retro equipment, and we're just researching into which one's best. So it's going to be getting sent off soon for the full restoration work. But in the interim, I'm going to get this opened up to have a look inside, and I'm going to share that with you as well. I've turned it around just to show you the back of it. This is the main power supply transformer. That's the speakers. It's capable of doing 4 speakers, 4 ohms. That's the heat sink for the amplifier. That's the auxiliary inputs. That'd be for a tape player. QM, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'll have to ask my dad in a minute. Record deck, is it? Is that what it is? QM, record player. So it's just inform that's what I want. I'm not quite sure what this thing is. What's that there, Dad? Oh, that's the earth, the interference, static interference. That's what that is. So my dad bought this in 1974, so he knows all about it. He's an electrician as well. He's opened this up before, like. So I remember it all the years we've had it, like, and grew up with it. So it was always fascinating how these things worked. So I'm not quite sure what these are. I'll go and ask. Pause it. That's the aerial, is it? What's that again?
That's coaxial balanced input.
Coaxial balanced
input.
input.
Aerial as well.
Oh, right. Okay. So, and that must be a switch between them then.
You can put one or the other.
Oh, right.
Select either
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, that's just a wee bit of info. So it is UK, obviously. It's Scotland. 240 volts, hence the plug. Turn this round. So I'll just turn that facing that way. I've got the light on it as well. So it's made out of real wood, built to last. It's 49-year-old. Things are built to last. This is a balanced tuner. It's going to counterbalance. That's why it's very smoothly turning. It's got a really smooth feel to it. There's also little adjusters there as well. Sliding volume control for the left speaker and right speaker. Now these are, I think there's an issue with them, so it's going to have to get checked in when it's getting restored or repaired up. It's just going to be going in for any repairs that's needing done to get done on it, basically. That's what I mean by restoration. Keep it original as possible, obviously, but if anything's needing replaced, then so be it. Just cleaned, checked, anything's needing repaired up on it. And when the amplifier watches these needles move, that's for the left channel and the right channel. The buttons, well, this is what they sound like. That's the main on and off button. That's for the headphones. This thing, by the way, I've weighed it. and it's 9 kilograms of good quality material. 9 kilograms this weighs, and it's solid. So I'm going to get the toolbox out and I'm going to open it up. Right, so I've turned the amplifier upside down. This is the base of it. To get the top off, it's 4 Phillips screws. 4 Phillips screws. Phillips screwdriver. There's a screw at each corner that needs to come off. All parts. Get a wee container to put all the bits in, screws and washers and stuff. Particular screw, it's been improvised to repair. It needs a bigger washer because the casing's cracked over the years, and my dad would have been the last person to open it up, so he used this as an improvised washer. It's just so it covers the load, clamps down on there because it's quite brittle and fragile. The other ones are okay. That's the thing, right side up. To lift the lid off, it's a case of, well, Dad will take it off. I'll show you what it's. I'll film it. Okay, just. So it's just kind of comes off and slides. It lifts up and slides back to get the wooden top off, and that's the inside of the top. That's felt for the heat. Ventilation, that just stops dust getting into the circuit boards. Bit of a filter like. So this is looking from the top down. There is another cover underneath that I might remove later, but there's 2 big stabilising capacitors at the back there. I remember when this switches on, it always makes a little bang. Right, be the capacitors and the power. It's the buttons in. That's the counterbalance for the. That's what makes it so smooth for when I'm turning the flywheel. Yeah, flywheel. And it's that lights up red, by the way, when the power's on. These all light up as well. That lights up depending on what one you've selected. So when this has actually been restored, I could show you it in operation in a later video. So there's some microchips in there as well. And this big heat sink will be connected up to the there's like diodes or something at the back there. Zoom in. Maybe disperse the heat. That's the main power supply. It's quite a big one as well. The transformer. Kind of protrudes out the back here as well. This whole thing weighs 9 kilograms, so it's very heavy for its size. It's quite dense. That's like an inline fuse.
You'd have to twist them.
Right, that's the main circuit one, that's the circuit fuse, 2 fuses.
Yeah, there's the switch there. Incoming cable there.
Oh yeah, mains.
Circuit board.
Aye, that's the main, and mains voltage goes to this.
Power supply board.
Yeah. Oh, it's spliced off of there. So that's the mains voltage fuse, and then that'll be the to protect the circuit, that lower voltage. It's coming. The mains comes in, splices off. That's the brown. That'll be the live going through this fuse out the other side, back into this sheath and into the transformer to be transformed down. So the voltage will drop, the current will increase because you can't break power. It's just converting it from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. Yeah, voltage power. Yep. So it comes out of here at a lower voltage and then into the circuitry. So these big main damping capacitors, what are they for? No, these big, what was it? What are they?
No.
Smoothing capacitors. So there's actually another 2 fuses in here as well. There's one there. There's another one there. To protect the circuits. So all these wires are going to the jack plugs at the back for the speakers. So that'll be the input for the signals and whatnot. It's kind of like tucked behind this, but this will be for the tuning circuit, because that's wrapped in the aerial. Yeah, the aerials. Yep, that's the stop interference, prevent interference getting in. So I'm looking for the main amplifier board then. I take it that'll be it. Yeah. Yeah. That'll be the switching circuits and that there. Well, that'll be the tuning circuits, I think. Oh no, because you got the needles tune. They're tucked away in there as well. FM.
AM.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's that called?
Ferrite rod aerial.
Ferrite rod aerial.
Yeah.
For the AM. Yeah. Reason. So what I'll do is I'll turn this thing the other way around, and I'll shine the video in that way. I'll turn this round, get a view of the inside of the front panel. That'll be the bulbs for the lights, because these, well, that whole thing, that whole red light lights up with the tuner. These also light as well. So the bulbs will be tucked in there somewhere. Probably the front panel comes off with 3 Phillips screws. That's the sliding volume controller. Assembly, that's the button assembly there. So there's might be a resistor of some sort. The tuning circuit, the tuning mechanism. So it's a heavy, that'll probably be a lead flywheel or something, just to see the tuning circuit. So like I say, that'll be the cover for the prevent interference for the actual radio. But I'm guessing these are adjuster screws or something on the circuit board for some microchips here as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16 legs on these. On that one anyway. So there's like diodes at the back of this heatsink. So we can zoom in. The amplifying diodes. You just sort of see. I've had a pointer I could have pointed, but you'll see it. It's a black bit zooming right into. Now you get the camera right down there, but see if we could. No. More switches. So this is a view from the. What was that area called again, Dan? Ferrite rod. It's a ferrite rod. Yeah, for the AM. Radio AM. Amplitude modulate, isn't it? Is that right? Amplitude modulate AM. Frequency. Amplitude modulated. And FM is frequency modulated. Yeah. So one does the signal for the strength and the amplification, and if that's your signal, that will vary the amplification for the signal will be a frequency, and the strength of that signal will be amplified corresponding to the signal that's being sent through. But FM, frequency modulated, is the frequency that will vary depending on the signal. I think the amplitude is the same on FM, but the frequency will vary. With the old AM, it's the strength of the amplification of the signal that varies in conjunction with the signal, and that's the older. I don't know if they still do AM. Do this? Yeah, they do. They still do AM. So medium wave. Yeah, medium wave. Is this Scotland? Medium wave. It does the medium wave as well. Yeah, AM is FM. Well, MW is medium wave. That comes under AM, amplitude modulated, and FM's the digital one, isn't it? But this is obviously analog FM. No. But the new ones now are digital FM, isn't it? Right. This is obviously before. I decoded it. This is before digital. Right? But the modern ones are use a digital decoder. well, right, so this will still pick up FM digital. Right. So the FM aerial, that's the one that gets plugged into this socket here. And the AM one's built in with this one.
For the secondary speaker,
Yeah.
which is not allowed.
No.
On the secondary speaker has to be less than the primary speaker.
Alright, so it's one per.
And remember,
So your end's recording. So this is, you reckon about 2030 this will, they're still broadcasting FM, but by 2030 it'll all be digital, but you might still be able to get a converter, so this could still work. That's a long way in the future. Anyway, so I'm just looking at the size of this transformer. It's absolutely massive. Huge. Jeez. And I couldn't get it into the, I had to even get this winding, this half of the winding out the back here. Just zooming down to this flywheel setup, you can see the shaft that from here it just transmits right the way through to this flywheel mechanism. You can actually see it, and that will then, you can kind of follow this. So it's not an elastic band, it sort of looks like it, but it's obviously not. It goes through the set of pulley systems. Which you could see on the so but my dad, he'd actually done work on this before. That was replaced. Originally it was, that middle one was like these two, but he had to source one of these, and it's fitted with the screws. These are push fit, these are screwed in. And after he'd done that job, I think he added this, he added that plastic cover just to prevent these wires interfering with the tuner circuit. It just basically slides down there, just as a kind of separator. So it's not really been modified as much, it's just been added to prevent it from interfering with this.
With the push on one is.
Yeah, I get the original ones, but yeah. So we're going to try and get an original plug again, a socket for it. That's for the record player, that one. So it's just the inside of the an inside view of the wooden lid. Now the numbers on there, I'm not sure what they are for. Part numbers maybe, when it was being built perhaps, I don't know. Yeah, so I was just, what I'm doing is I'm going to turn it upside down again. So to do that, I'm going to put the lid on. To put the lid on, it just sits on, just place it on and then it slides forward. I haven't put the screws in it yet, it's just for when something for it to rest on when I turn it upside down. Yeah, so we're just going to figure out how to get this base off, because I want to have a look at the underside. So there is, these screws don't directly go into the base, but I don't know if the screws act as holding the base in or not. These two Phillips screws certainly do by the looks of it. The ones at the back might. These are for the front, and sure, but I'm not taking the front off. These are for the front. No, not doing that. I just want to get this base off. I've took these two screws off. It seems like that it's the feet that need to come off to get the bottom off. I'm going to be able to try that. Once again, it's Phillips screwdriver, Phillips screws. Took slacking this off, And it looks like that's what's required to come off. So you've got the smaller Phillips screws there, and then the remaining 4 for the feet to get the base off. Oh. So that one flung off. Yeah, that's just the rubber feet that came off. So the screw goes through there and it acts as a secure for the base. That's all the screws off. They're all the same size for the feet as well. So now just time to lift off the lid, the base lid. So it's the underside, and that's what the underside looks like, and the underside of the amplifier tuner. So you can see the tuning mechanism a bit clearer actually this time. There's the mechanical transmitting shaft that turns the flywheel at the end. You saw the pulleys earlier. That's just is a buffer, just to dampen out the space between the base and that's the bottom of the tuner mechanism. You can see that magnet or whatever it is, it's turning. Actually, I'll ask my dad what that is in a minute. It might just be something to do with it may even be the actual wheels, the variable tuner, I'm not sure. That's the wooden base, sorry, that's the wooden lid, because I've put the lid back on to turn it upside down, obviously, for it to rest on. You can see the other side of the transformer. I think these are just sort of, I don't know, padding of some sort. I'll turn it the other way around so you could get a view of the other side as well. It's the bottom of the tuner box. That'll be the headphones, the back of the headphone sockets. That's just the tucked wires in that black stuff there. Keep everything tidy. And the tuner circuits are down there. See, the modern stuff doesn't have all this. The modern stuff's got like microchips and it's much smaller. There's not much in the modern one. There's hardly any, if any, mechanical parts in them. It's touch button, and this has actually got a lot of work put into it. There's a bit of a subframe here as well, I guess, and that's just to keep the boards and that separate. Right, what we'll do is I'll turn this whole thing round and I'll get a view looking from the other way. Preset stations, these things. And that's for the...
Like when you got your digital radio, you tune it when you press a button, comes to that one.
Oh, right.
Well, when you tune those things, you select your FM, you get the radio station you've done.
Yeah.
Tuned it to.
Oh, right.
Buttons.
Oh, aye. Yeah, I see them. Yeah, these buttons. So you just select them there.
Pre-tuning radio station.
Pre-tuning, that's to pre-tune the radio station. Alright. Oh, when the buttons came up. Hang on. So when the buttons came up when I was playing along there, they just push fit. It's just a push fit buttons. That's all they are. They just pop out when Oh, it's come out again. Oh, that's a different one actually. So as a tip, if anything falls on the floor, it's like that. Don't move your feet. Have a look down first before you move. You should stand on it. It just pushes in. So I'm not going to mess about with that anymore. I'll leave that now. Right, what I was going to do is I'm going to turn this on and show you the other, looking at it from the other side. That'll give you an idea what this panel's like. It's just a very thin, probably aluminium or something. Right, so it's turned round. So that's looking at the back of the front panel. That's the back of the front panel there. Aluminium. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way the Americans say it. Aluminum. Aluminium. Right, so that must be a circuit board reference number or something. So there's even components on this side of the board as well. There's a few resistors and some bridges, and or is that just maybe not bridges and maybe locking tabs or something? Oh, that'll be maybe the base of a component or something. I don't know. They might be bridges or something. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to get this proper, study it to understand it properly. Diagrams, circuit diagrams and all that stuff. I'm impressed with the size of this transformer. That is absolutely massive. It's like something like you would see inside a microwave. It's huge. That'll account for quite a bit of the weight. 9 kilograms this thing weighs. And this lead counterbalance will add some weight to it as well, no doubt. Or flywheel rather, not counterbalance, flywheel. I think that's lead actually. You think that's aluminium, do you?
Let me see the thing.
I'd say that was lead. No, maybe not. Maybe. Aluminium, maybe. This black thing here, by the way, that's a circuit board. Like you can see it would slide along there. Well, it's not going to slide now, but it's kind of like a rack, I suppose, like a kind of circuit board rack, just to keep that separated. Just kind of fits in there. The other one would be will slide in the other rail. That big main board will slide in the other. It does actually. I could zoom in and show you that. Slides in the bottom. Yeah, I like all this. This is how things are built properly, you know. Built craftsmanship. I mean, the other stuff, modern stuff, are just mass produced. There's no any, I don't think there's much craftsmanship in them. It's all done by robots, isn't it? Whereas this, built to last. That's my opinion anyway. There's a lot more to look at, more interesting. Let's look inside these things. Whereas the modern stuff's all microchips. You don't really understand what's going on very well. You can't appreciate what's going on, but in likes of this old stuff, you could see all things put together, like especially the tuning circuit, the tuning mechanism. So you get actual parts. Gives you an idea just how so you can see how it fits together anyway. That's where the lid, the screws go in. That was what it was cracked. That uses the improvised washer. That's probably all you had at the time. So you just used that. And then the other screw there's got a washer on it. These ones, well, there wasn't any washers that came off the screws when I took them out. I don't know if it ever did have washers in them. But it's made of a kind of plastic anyway. And so it's cracked. But as long as it doesn't come off, it should be alright. So that's how the wooden lid goes on. As you saw how the base came off, that fits on. And the feet act as securing screws as well. So So an amplifier, try and give you, I'll turn it right side up and I'll try and give you an idea how it, a very, very rough idea how an amplifier works. Right, so I've right sided it up. I'm just going to take off the lid again, the top rather. So it's just, I can't do it at the same time when I'm filming, but it just lifts up and slides back, so I'm going to just get that off. So I'll just put it like this for a minute. Just an idea. Being a tuner amplifier, I just briefly, in a nutshell, only giving you my explanation of it. Obviously the signal for the AM comes in through this aerial, but will get tuned in through this tuning circuit, then amplified, and then out through the speakers. Anything coming in the auxiliary will just be the same process, come in, get amplified, out through the speakers. The amplifier circuits at the back, these are like buffer capacitors just to smooth things out a bit. Big powerful beefy transformer to make sure there's enough power for everything. It's a powerful amplifier. Transistors, transistor amplifier. If you want to know how it works, just Google it up. But basically, a signal coming into the transistor acts as a kind of, I don't know, a switch or some sort. It'll vary. The signal coming into one side will vary, and it will cause a corresponding signal to the other side to vary. There'll be two power supplies, one at each side. And as the weaker signal varies, it will alter the power on the, it'll give the signal, the power on the other side, a similar pattern to the signal that's coming in. So it's probably just a, I don't know, it's a very, very, very rough sketch on how it works. Transistors are, well, you've got microchips here. I don't think that's the amplifier bits, but they'll be right there in the back, I think. These ones that are on the heatsink. What to do actually is just forget what I said. If you want to know how it works, just go online and type in how a transistor amplifier works. Come in all different classes. Far too complicated to explain. But if I remember, I might stick a link in the description of the video to some of the ones I've watched. And they go into explain it properly. Transistors could act as amplifiers, they could also act as switches as well. It's a transistor amplifier, I could safely say that. So, there ain't any valves in this thing. The valves are just the predecessor of the transistor. So, but that's not got time to explain to me how it works at the moment. I'd have to write it all down and script it all out. I can maybe do another video on that and how transistors work. I'd have to get, revise it properly and make some kind of sense out of it. But, anyway, I'm going to have to get a bite to eat and get a bit hungry now. So what I'll do is I'll go get some grub, get something to eat, and I'll put this back together. I'll get a wee video just to round it off when it's well assembled. Things marching on, so. The speakers, I won't be able to open them up. I'll show you them actually just very quickly. So that's the speakers. You may have seen them on the previous video that I did regarding the record player, which is here. That too is also due for restoration. That's the other speaker. Remember, they're 30-watt speakers. There's 3 speakers. That reads High Fidelity International, by the way. Try to zoom in. There's 3 speakers in that case. You've got the higher frequency one at the top, you've got the mid-range frequency in the middle, and the big bass one at the bottom. But like I say, they don't really open, so there's not much I could show you in that. And they were rated at 30 watts, these speakers. This amplifier is capable of 90 watts, it's capable of driving 4 speakers as well, hence the 4 plugs at the back there for the speakers. Right, so I might get a bite to eat, and after that I'll put this all back together again and round the video off. Regarding these washers, Originally, I don't think this, my dad reckons it didn't have washers originally. He added these washers later. Especially this one, that was just an improvised one, that's a connector. But that washer was put on in Veteros, but that was modified, my dad put that on. But I think originally they never had washers. That's regarding the lid, the top. Also regarding the bulbs, to change the bulbs for the tuner, that lights up red, that's true. This would be a lot harder because it's buried in there. So to get the bulbs changed in here, you'd have to take the front off. It's a bigger job getting them out of there, like, because they just lit up. These bulbs as well, there's also bulbs behind there. That would have been a bit of a job replacing that as well. As I say, I think the front with these 3 Phillips, I'm not taking the front off, like, because that looks, it's quite a complex. I have to go and disassemble and upset all these pulleys, and I ain't definitely not doing that, like, no way. But the bulbs, to get the bulbs changed in them, it'll just be probably the same power as those, but just accessing them, because the fronts here, they don't come off. It's the actual front panel that would have to come off in order to access the bulbs, but they're buried in behind there, because, like I say, there's components that would stop you from getting the bulb changes. It's like the modern cars, I mean, they don't make them easy, so but this would be quite awkward to change the bulbs. Right, so I'll get some tea. So my dad's just pointed out that these there are the bulbs for whether you've tuned it to FM or AM stroke FM tune.
That's just showing the channel you selected.
Yeah, but the bulbs for the amplifier needles, meters rather, that's going to be a difficult job. So, could you remember how you done that?
Offhand, no.
I think the front panel would have done.
To have taken that off, but that's not coming off.
Nah, I'm not taking that off, like, no way. But it must have been quite difficult anyway, because there's no really any way of getting into there without taking off the front panel to get the bulbs out.
That's if I have replaced them, I can't remember.
Yeah, probably would have had to replace them at some point. They wouldn't last, they were just normal bulbs, not like LEDs. There's no LEDs in here, like, it's all bulbs, so it would have to be replaced at some point. But, right, I'm going to get my tea now, so I'll get my tea, then I'll put this all back together again and round off the video. Okay, right, see you in a bit. Right, so, for a wee bite to eat. So I just spotted another fuse, by the way. There's 5 of them altogether. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, unfortunately, my dad and brother's gone away out the house in the car, so I won't be able, if I get stuck on what they are, I was going to ask what these are, but there's nobody here to answer it, so I'm just going to have to take a guess. Judging by the heat shrink or heat shield on it, it's going to be something to do with the amplification. It's going to get hot. That looks like a kind of heat disperser or heat vent of some sort. So I'm guessing that'll be the amplifier board at the back. And of course, my dad's not here now; he's gone away. So unfortunately, I don't know what they are. I'd like to know, but they're going to be out a while, so I can't wait till they get back. I'm going to have to get this assembled, put back together. I've got other things to do, so I'm going to have to just leave that one. You might know what that is if you tell me in the comments. Then I really don't know what the. Should we get a better view of it? Can't even read what that is. It's typical that. As soon as I was going to ask him when he was here today, but I forgot. But now they're out. So, damn it. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, gosh. You know this, I've done assembly work with circuit boards years and years, about 2 decades ago. I remember putting that sort of component into circuit boards, but I can't remember what they're called. It's bugging me. Anyway, doesn't matter. There's like a bridge or link or something. It's upside down, by the way, so all days I'll turn it around. No, I won't actually. I'll just leave it there. I'm going to have to round off the video. But the amplifiers, transistor amplifiers, it's like what the weak signal that comes out of the record player will go into here, basically. I'll get amplified. I'll go one of the legs on the transistors. Well, obviously that's just in a nutshell I'm talking about. It goes through a whole load of circuitry first. But basically the transistor, one of the legs on the transistors, 3 legs on the transistor. What is it? The base, emitter and collector or something. Now, you've got NPN and PNP and all this. Oh, jeez, it's complicated as anything. You put a voltage on it and it lets some of the electrodes off a doped plate go to the others if there's enough current or something like that. Anyway, basically it's like varying the power. Like it's allowed to go through it. So if you've got a weak signal at one of the legs, I think it's the base, that will vary with the the weak signal from the signal off the, not off the record, but the record will give it'll make the needle move in an electromagnetic, the magnet will move in an electric coil or something, and that will send a wee pulse, and that pulse will correspond to the music on the record. That will go down that wire into here to get amplified. And the amplifier, the transistor amplifier, the base will vary according to the weak signal coming in. And at the other end of the other 2 pins or legs on the transistor will have the power. So it'll vary the amount of power that's allowed to go through it. Like, there's a load of resistors and capacitors that go with it, like maybe that's what they are as well, I don't know. There's loads of resistors in there. The 2 big massive capacitors, just to smooth things out. Because I do remember when you used to switch that on, you used to get a little bang, That was the design of it, like, but the transistor will vary the amount that's going through it. So the power on the other end, the amplified, power will vary in accordance to the weak signal, and that will be your amplifier, basically. So you get a weak signal coming in off doesn't have to be off the record plate, it can be off whatever's needing to get amplified, off like the tuner, for example. You get a weak signal from the coils. Your radio waves will cause an inductive voltage or something, and that will need to be amplified. So that will be a very weak, very, very weak signal, and that will cause the switch, the transistor, to vary the amount of power that's going through it in the same pattern as the signal. So if you're getting a pattern from the weak signal from the tuner or the record player or whatever you're putting in, the auxiliary to your amplified, that'll be a weak signal that will vary the amount of power that's going through the transistor in the same pattern. So that power, the powerful side of the transistor, if you like, will go to the speakers. So you get that speaker cone will vibrate. The paper cones inside the speakers, electro coils. It's opposite to the record player. The power going into the speakers will cause the cone to vibrate, the air, at the same frequency as what's on the, ultimately what's on the record, what's coming out the record player or the tuner. So that's how you hear it, because the speaker's just vibrating air, but that will vibrate your ear drum, and then your brain will, that's what sound is. It's just vibration, isn't it? So you're going to get the sound from the air. That's the mechanics of it. Come on, just Google it. It was just in a nutshell. It's just very basic kind of thing. It's just going to be a weak signal coming in into these plugs. We'll go through all this circuitry, whatever. It'll be all organised into whatever's coming in. Your video stuff will go through one part of the circuit. It will obviously be in conjunction with what you've tuned it to. That'll vary the resistance of I think when you turn that, it causes it varies. There's capacitors, all sorts of things in there that vary when you turn that. By the way, this is analog. All the new stuff is digital now. So there's a heck of a lot in here anyway. There's actually wires in here. The Modgen stuff, you open up the Modgen thing, you'll not see very many wires. It's just very fine circuit boards with about 1 billion legs on it, on a blooming microchip with about 1 million legs on it, and it's all, you know, it's got smaller. Everything's got smaller these days. You can't see nothing. It's just all very finely done. It's made by robots. You know, it's just not much to see. But on this, it was built by hand. You could see, you know, I like that. I'm quite impressed with that. You could see how there's a bit of craftsmanship to it. Yeah, you got all the wires, and like when I was young, I used to build models of these things. When I was very young, I used to build models of these things out of paper, and I used to put my own circuit boards in it. And, you know, talking about when I was at primary, I was fascinated in them. Yeah, you actually see something. There's something to look at when you open up these old things. Whereas you open up a modern thing like I don't know, like a mobile phone, for example, which has got everything this has got, but just on a smaller scale. It's got next to nothing to see in it. It's just you need a magnifying glass. But all that's compressed, you know, compressed into these. This is the start of it. You see, this is the start of it. It's the microchips. It's 80 legs or 16 legs or something. But if you go into a computer, you'll see there's probably about 100 all around it. It's a square microprocessor, it's called. You know. But no, I'm impressed with this. Like, I like the old stuff. You see, I grew up with this. Obviously, it's been in the family since it was brand new. It's a year older than me. I mean, what's that, 1974? It's 40, 48, 49. It's 2023, so it's coming up for 49-year-old, isn't it? So, nearly 50-year-old. And as I say, it's solid, built to last. Right, I'm going to get this put back together again, and I'm going to have to get on this video off. I may be here to hold this, by the way, so I'm going to just have to, I won't be able to record as assembling it, so you'll just see it assembled. Right, I'm going to get on it. Okay. So just before I assemble, I'm just going to take a wild guess. It's just a name floating about in my head. I wonder if they're called Moscow transistors. Moscow something, transistors. It's maybe a transistor of some sort. If it's an amplifier and it's got a heat vent or shield or whatever, heat sink. A heat sink. If it's got a heat sink on it, then it's going to be amplifier, and it's a transistor amp. So I'm going to say that they're Moscow transistors then. Probably only might even have 3 legs at the bottom. So actually, looking down on it, there's something there. Look, there's P. Is it? No. There's 3 things. There's one there, and one on the. That might correspond to the legs. So it could be a 3-legged Moscow or something, or Moscow transistor or something. They're smaller transistors, them black things, and these are the resistors. They're smaller capacitors. These are massive capacitors. These are funny looking capacitors as well, but they are capacitors. They're the microchips. But today, microchips have now become like microprocessors. That's got about 16 legs on it. If you look at a computer, the microprocessors have got about, you can't count them. It's about probably about this size, and it's got legs all around them. Probably 1,000. Yeah, so I was just having a wee think of that before I put this lid back together. Right, so it's going to be able to get reassembled now, okay? possibly a thermal cutoff switch. And this is fitted to the transformer. The top lid, it's drop down, slide forward, flip the thing upside down, put the base on, flip it back right side up. Actually, no, tell a lie. Yeah, put the top on, slide forward, flip it upside down, put the base on, and put the screws in to hold the top on, and then flip it the right side up, and it'll be assembled, reassembled. This is not for video, and it's just for my own records. This, by the way, doesn't seem to be connected to anything. Doesn't seem to be connected to anything. So on reassembly, I actually just thought about this thing here when I was putting it back together. So this just unscrews. There's nothing, doesn't seem to do anything. That's that earth thing or whatever. Nothing to it. So I don't really know what that's about. An aerial earth strap, I think my dad said it was, or something, wasn't it? There's nothing on the other side, it's just bore on a couple of washers and that just screws on by hand. Protect the circuit board, these rubber things, so I can't really have my camera at the same time, but that's just to protect that board because it's nearer the base, and that's to protect the transformer as well, just to insulate it. So this just goes on basically refitting reversal as it came off. Remember which screws go where. There's a little evidence to it's where the feet were. I didn't hear a manual, like a Haynes manual on how these things go together, so if you're not sure, just have a look at any clues that are, you know, like that in there for instance. It's got the little washer mark on it. So that'll be for the lid. Oh no, tell a lie, no, tell a lie, sorry. That'll be for the feet, because you can see the ring, you know, the evidence for the where the feet used to, well, I just put that in on so I know where to take it off now, but gives you a clue. There's 4 feet and there's the 2 shorter screws up at the back. They were that one and that one. So that's feet, feet, feet and feet. 4 screws for that and 2 non-feet screws, shorter ones for the remaining 2. 6 screws altogether hold the space on. And it's Phillips screwdriver. Phillips screws required. Screws are all the same length as well, by the way, including the 2 that haven't got feet, just the screws on the same. So the 4 feet screws, all the same size, length, and the other 2, which are shorter than the feet ones, these 2 are the same size as each other. Same again, just torque them down, not too hard, just so that once they stop turning, just nip them a wee bit, but that's it. Don't start tightening them up by excessive force, because you'll just you'll just bugger up the thread basically. So don't tighten up too much. Just once you nip it, then like that. That's enough for that. There's no torch settings on them. Just tighten them up so it's not going to fall out. Once it's tightened, it's bottomed out like that. Just a wee nip like that. That's it. That's all you need. You'll round the heads if you put too much force on them. It's only just to hold the base on. You don't need to tighten it up too much. It's always good to tighten things up in diagonals. Again, if you've got like tighten it there, tighten it there, tighten it there, tighten it there. It's just to prevent it warping. Again, just cross tighten it. So tighten it, tighten it, tighten it, tighten it. But don't tighten it all the way down at first. Just tighten it a good bit down, tighten it nearly down in that order, and then torque them up. Like, tighten it fully down, just nip them, and then go like that. Don't tighten it right down because you start to warp it. Just sort of go down maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of the way on all of them, and then just go backtrack on yourself and just do the same again. And once it bottoms out, just get a wee nip. That's it. Then I go pure torquing it right up. You'll knacker the thread, and then you'll round the head, and that'll be it. You'll have to drill them. And this is old, so you don't need to put any force. It's just to hold the base on. It's no like structure or anything like that. So, right, we'll get the other 4 screws in for the lid. Just make sure all the holes are lined up. That's the one that had the makeshift washer put in. I think my dad added these washers in retrospect. Retrofitted them rather, because I think when it was made in the factory it was just non-washer. Didn't have any washers on them. So I think my dad thought it was a good idea then to improve it by adding a washer just to spread the load of the head of the screw going down there. It's a better fit basically. It could maybe, see, a bigger screw would maybe no be alright. It wouldn't be okay to use a bigger screw because it might need to drill in further and there's not enough room for a bigger screw. So the solution is to put a washer on it to clamp it down. Whereas when it was manufactured, it maybe wasn't maybe not enough. So it's maybe okay for manufacturing, but once it's been off a couple of times, it might start to well, it's cracked anyway. So my dad thought, I think he said he retrofitted them just to improve the just to make it better basically, because without the washer it's more likely to, it's not really as much to clamp it down with. So Dad's added a washer just to just improve it a little bit. Right, so let's get this done. Now, I was a bit fiddly getting them on. I got them on. I've just had to, it was a wee bit awkward lining them up, but I think more the reason why it's like this, why this was selected, is because that there acts as a bit of a clamp as well. That kind of locks it in a little bit more. That's probably all there was at hand at the time as well. But that's them in anyway. It was a wee bit awkward getting them in, actually, to be honest, but I got them in. I kind of get I didn't like balancing it like that either. So I'm going to get this back down right side up very quickly. Okay, that's it all assembled. The transformer, by the way, that's all back. These big bolts, well, the big long screws go right through there. That holds the transformer onto this back plate. You would have saw that off a little bit earlier. There's locking washers as well involved with that, because that's quite a heavy bit of metal in there. So they stretch right the way through the core of the not the core of the transformer, but the plating, the actual, yeah, that would be called a core, wouldn't it? It's like laminated. There's lots of plates. Transformer made up of lots of plates, and it's binded together. That's not what binded the transformer together, by the way. That's done in, that's separate altogether. These big long bolts that go through it, it's just to secure the transformer assembly to this batter plate. The transformer's all made in the factory separate, but it was blooming massive anyway. You won't find that in a modern thing, transformers of that size. I'll try to zoom in on that. So, like I said earlier, my dad replaced this. That's for the corresponding plug from the record player, which I'll show you. The record player, by the way, I've done a video on this before earlier on my channel. It's the 212 electronic Phillips. That's the plug that connects into the amplifier from the record player. And the speakers, that's the corresponding speaker plugs that go into the amp. So they go into, the speakers go into there. Now it's capable of driving 4 speakers. And this amplifier, originally, by the way, that was the same as these two. But my dad replaced this with what was available at the time, and you can see it's been retrofitted. It's not standard, but we're thinking about trying to source an original socket for when it goes in for repair, restoration, and get it back to originality. So I don't know that. I'm not going to put any force, or I don't know what. No, I see it. I'm not going to mess around, but I don't really know what the story is with this here. Like, see, my dad's still out, so I couldn't tell you, unfortunately. I mean, as I say, that was some kind of earthing strap, but there's nothing really on the inside. It's just fixed there. There's nothing connected up in there. I had a look earlier, as you saw. If you watched earlier, you would have seen that. That's a heat sink. I'm just done all this. Oh, by the way, I think it was called MOSFET transistors or something. MOSFET transistors. Something like that anyway. I mean, it was on about these silver transistors. I'm just guessing, as I say, there's nobody here to ask. That's it. So, I can't honestly remember what they are. I think they're MOSFET transistors. But it's a transistor amplifier anyway. So, that's it, reassembled. This thing could take auxiliary inputs, as you would have saw. So, you can amplify that. The sliders are a wee bit heavy. They're probably going to need contact cleaners or cleaned out. Because I remember when this was last on years ago, it was a crackling sound you used to get when you moved them. And that wasn't very good. It did crackle a bit, but it's been out of use for quite a while now. So it's going to probably need a bit of, I mean, anything that slides, mechanical stuff, and that's going to be a wear point. And the way you build up a, you know, when it wears out, the particles are going to go somewhere. So it's going to build up, and it's going to be a bit of cause a problem. So it's going to need cleaned out. See, modern stuff doesn't have any mechanical stuff in it anymore. It's all touch screen. You know, these are like, this old school stuff is, you know, craftsmanship that go in it. Real wood and everything, varnished wood, metal, polished. Well, that's not actually polished. Well, it's polished, but it's painted. Must be painted in it. Dip coated maybe. But it's got a finish on it anyway. It's got a lacquer on it, and it's all, you know, done in the sort of, there's workshop. There's jobs here for people that are doing carpentry skills, metalwork painting skills, you know, all this is all done by, you know, hand built, basically. I mean, some of the stuff will be done on an assembly line, like these buttons will be molded probably, but they'll be added in by hand. All this will be assembled by hand. Whereas if you look at a modern thing, it's just all, it's all plastic, no character to it at all. It's probably all done in an assembly line and a bit for speed as well. There's no much mechanical stuff on modern stuff. It's all touch button or even Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So there's absolutely nothing at all to touch. Whereas this has got the old school hands-on experience. I mean, you could feel the quality. Well, that needs to be sorted. It's a bit heavy, but like that, you know, you feel the workmanship that goes into it. You can feel the quality. The buttons are a bit probably. That's just the characteristics of this. It was always like that. The buttons are, but they work well, you know. But you used to always get a bang when you hit it. That's off, but when you put it on, you used to get a thump. You used to always get that. That was again a characteristic of this amplifier. Right, so can't really think of anything else to say about it at the moment. It's just time. Right, that's time. Take my round the video off. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just see what else I put on my channel. When I get this sent off for the whole thing, the amplifier, record player and speakers sent off for restoration, I'll be able to maybe, I'll show you it when it comes back, I'll make a video, but if I'm playing copyright music, it'll just have to be a few seconds at the most, otherwise I risk a copyright strike. That's the only problem. So, and again, you can only hear the quality of this if you're playing if you're watching or playing the video back on something of a similar quality. Because I mean, this will give out the quality, and then of course the recorder on this can only really record the quality to a certain level. So, but it depends on how it's recorded and what you're listening to it on as well. You know what I mean? So the only way you could really hear the quality of something like this is to actually hear it firsthand. Because if you're doing it through the processing, like obviously how the microphone's positioned in relation to the speakers, you know, all that's going to affect the acoustics of everything. So you're not going to get the true picture, the true sound. As I say, the only way you're going to get the true sound is to actually hear it in person. You know, and that's for sampling. But I could certainly show you the lights. I'll fire it up and show you it, like, hey, once it's all been restored up, you'll see how it lights up and everything, and you'll see the turntable working away there. And as I say, I can maybe play a few seconds, well, a couple of seconds of music at the very copyright music at the most, and that's about it. If even that, because any more than that, I could risk a copyright strike if it's going on YouTube. The only way I could let you hear it for any longer is if I made my own music. But I didn't have any means of putting music on to a record, you know, at this stage anyway, unfortunately. But like I say, you'll get to hear it. You'll get to hear the bang if it still does that. When you switch that button on, you always used to get a thump. That was the characteristics of this amplifier. You'll get to hear that if it's still doing that, that is, after being restored. I mean, I don't know if it's a design feature or what, if it's just something that develops through time with it or what, I don't know. But certainly, I remember it doing that from many decades ago. So, but like I say, this is a year older than me, so maybe in the first year or two, I don't know, just have to ask my dad, but he's out at the moment, so he might remember if it made that bang when it was like a thump. It was just going through the amplifier and out to the speakers. It was just the characteristics of it. But anyway, we'll see what happens as far as letting you see it going. As I say, you'll get to see it all lit up and everything. You'll get to see the stylus and the turntable turning away, and you'll get to see the lights and the touch buttons on that when I get it all powered up, when it's back from getting restored. And I could put the radio on maybe just for a short time. Again, I can't play copyright on it, so it'll just be for a few seconds. I shouldn't really play anything on YouTube without their permission. That's the only other way I could play copyright music on there, is to get permission from the author of the music and the recording studios and all that. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Just see what else I put up on my channel, and I'll catch you later on, right? Okay, see you later. Bye for now.